Hi, and welcome back to another episode of the 8-Bit Retro Refix. And on this week's episode, I'm going to be showing you how to create tapes using the Ultimate 64. But before we get into that, I just want to say the last episode that we did was a 1581 disk drive build. I've had a few weeks off from work, annual leave, so I wanted to pull away from it and not do anything for a while and just kick back and relax and recharge them batteries. So that's why I've not done a video for the last few weeks. So sorry about that, but it's always good to take a break. So the reason why I've done this tape is I've been talking to a guy called Gary. He's in his Facebook group. He has sent me a lot of Commodores to repair, his Mega Drives to repair for him. He's the guy that actually sent me the original NTSC Commodore 64, which I needed the VIC chip from. That's in a previous video. So this is the tape that we're going to create for Gary. Gary, side A is the game that you wanted me to put onto a tape for you to preserve your original that you've got. On side B, I've recorded something a little bit special for you. Don't know whether you've played it or not. You might have done, but it is definitely on side B on here. So when you get the tape, when I send your Commodore back to you, check out side B. So what we're going to do in this episode, like I said previously, we're going to show you how to create tapes to get that nostalgia feel, or even just to restore some of your original tapes. I've got a few tapes, you can imagine. I've got lots of tapes. They don't all load. So if you can get hold of the tap file, you can use the Ultimate cartridge to re-record back onto your original tapes to regenerate them. What happens over time with the tapes, they'll lose the it's a bit hard how to put it. The recording volume drops and drops and drops and drops. I have a load it meter that's actually on my tape deck. You'll see that in the video, that shows you the amount of volume that's coming out of that tape. So normally on that meter, when you're loading the originals, you get 1, 2 bars, 3 if you're lucky. But after you've recorded them with Gideon's Ultimate cartridge, you're up at 7 or 8 bars. So you can tell that the audio has actually been really uplifted, which tends to work. And you can tend to put these tapes in any tape deck and it'll load every single time. You all know if you're into your Commodores, tape decks are fussy. One tape deck will load it, won't load it, and another tape deck will load it. But by doing this and lifting the volume, these tapes will pretty much load in any tape deck so long as it's reasonable. So let's get to how to record tapes with Gideon's 1541 Ultimate cartridge. So let's get to that. So if you're like me and you enjoy building these things like the 1581 disk drive or anything else, pop along to the PCB Way. They do all sorts of things. They do prototype boards, they do board assembly. If you don't want to build the boards yourself, they will assemble all the board for you. They also do flexi boards as well now. They do HDI PCBs. And if you really want to go into CNC machining, they do that as well, and 3D printing. So if there's anything that you're thinking about doing, building wise of electronics, pop along to PCB Way. The prices start from as little as £5 and go all the way up. But yes, PCB Way is the way forward and the best place to go for your PCBs. Right, so here we are with the setup. What we're going to be doing is creating tapes using the Ultimate cartridge and the tape deck. What you'll need with the Ultimate cartridge, if you've not got one, so I can fetch this down, is the tape connector. And you get the tape connector from Gideon and this cable that goes into the Ultimate. Without that you can't create these tapes. You can see in there, you've got a nice little box. I actually did another video. If you have a look through my playlist, you'll find that for how to 3D print and create a case for the tape adapter. So This is a tape deck we're going to be using. Some of you may be looking and thinking, what the hell is that at the bottom here? Well, this is a modification that I put in to this tape deck, and it allows me to see the strength of the tape when it's loading. It's called Load It. You can find them now and again on eBay, and install these into them. They are really good if you've got tapes that won't load properly. You can just twiddle around with the head until you can get this gauge to come up higher. What I normally do is I've set the tape off, I change the head until I get the highest, and then I turn the head back until it drops down one notch, and then it's not got too much, it's not too far out, if you know what I mean. And that should load anything. But we're not using that today, although you will see when I reload the tape how strong that is on here. So yeah, that's the Load It modification you can do to the tape decks. So I'm going to reset that tape counter, and I'm going to get our tape out and do something that people don't understand anymore. And what I'm going to do, this is a brand new tape, and what I'm going to do is just use a Bic pen and wind that tape on until we can see the tape come to the middle, like that there. That'll do. And then we'll pop the tape into the cassette deck. So that's set up now, ready to go. So I'm just going to pan you up now and let you have a look at the screen of the Ultimate. So I have the Action Replay cartridge built or selected with my Ultimate cartridge, so that's what brings me into that straight away. So what we need to do this is we need to go into the menu system, and I'll show you how to do that in a second. The reason why we want to create these tapes, I know that's a blank tape, I know it's a backup tape. You can, if you want the nostalgia feel, record your ROMs back onto tape and you can load them on there. And of course, if you've got tapes that don't load anymore, if you go find the tap files, you've got to use the tap files. The PRG files don't work, you have to find the tap files. If you find the tap file on the internet, that's fantastic, because you can just select it and re-record back over your original tapes to regenerate them, to make them work again, so they're not going into the bin or anything like that. I've done that with a few. I've got about 4 or 5 Ghostbuster tapes. 3 of them didn't work, either side of them, they just wouldn't load anymore. So I restored them tapes using this method. So what we need to do is, I'm going to press the center button on the Ultimate. Then takes us into the menu, so I'm going to go down to the Ultimate USB there, enter that. I'm going to go down to his tap files folder, and I'm going to come down here and see if I can find the tap file that Gary were wanting. I believe that Gary does have this as an original game. He did show me some pictures of it and said it doesn't load anymore, and he would appreciate if I could create him a tape so he can play his favourite game again. So this is Roland. I'm going to select Roland, and what you do when we get here, we've got side A and side B. So if we press enter on A, you can see that menu that's come up. You can either run the tape and load it, you can start the tape, or you can write the tape. So what we're going to do today, we're going to write that tap file to tape. So I'm going to just press write to tape, and there you can see on the screen it's asking us to press play and record on tape, so I'm going to do that now. And you can see that's popped up, Ultimate is writing to tape, just wait. And that's all we do at the moment, we're just waiting now until it runs out. So I'm just going to skip through till we're near the end to show you what happens when it's finished. So while that's recording, you can see that the tape deck is recording there, and you can see that there's 2 lights lit up on the meter. That's only in recording status. When I replay it, I'll show you what it looks like when we reload it and how far it actually comes up there. You can basically ignore that meter for while it's recording. So we're almost there now, and what you'll find is when it finishes recording, the screen just goes straight back to the Ultimate menu. It doesn't give you any indicators that it's finished, it just disappears, as you'll see in a second. It shouldn't be too long now before it does that. There you go, boom. We're straight back, and we just stop the tape. What I'm going to do now is select side B, And the reason why I'm going to do this is because this game, what it does is it loads side A for all the menu and the chat and the intro to the game and etc. and things like that. And then it asks you to board and load the side B for the game. So what I would suggest when you get to this point is to reset the tape counter, and then if you need to rewind it and go back, you can do. It just saves by fast forwarding and rewinding the tape on this game and swapping sides, etc. and things like that. So I'm going to go ahead now and record side B. So we're going to do exactly the same thing again, write to tape. And it asks me again, same thing, press play and record on tape. So I'm going to do that. Press play and record on tape. And then we just wait again. So I'll just cut through to when it's nearly finished recording on there. And then I'll come back to you. So we're almost there again. I think it's about 113 on the tape counter. We're at 112 at the moment. And you'll see again when it finishes that it'll just drop straight back to the ultimate screen. Should be far off now. Hopefully, fingers crossed. There you go. So that's it, that's that tape done. And of course, if you wanted to decide to make yourself a compilation or anything like that, you can continue and keep putting more and more games onto one tape if you want. And then obviously write down the tape counter numbers on your tape inlay card, and then you can fast forward to it and pick your tapes out as you please. So that's that. We've now got our game on there. So I'm going to rewind that tape now. And once that's done, I'm just going to pan down to the tape deck. So switch the 64 off to reset. I'm going to boot that back into normal mode. So I'm going to press shift and run stop. Can't say that, but I'm going to do that anyway. And then I'm going to press play on tape. And if you watch that tape counter, can you see it? Not counter, sorry, the meter. You can see how high that is, and you can see that it's actually recorded really high volume on there. Because normally when you're replaying these tapes, you only get a sort of like 2 bars or 1 bar on your originals. So that's quite low tapes, and that's the deterioration of it. We're just waiting now for the prompt to tell us that it's found Rodland. I'll let this load through. It doesn't take too long. It's only a very small loader anyway, so I probably won't end up skipping it. So we've found Rodland, just hit spacebar to continue. You can hit spacebar, you can hit the Commodore key as well to progress. Sometimes it makes a difference if you're loading it with the spacebar, sometimes it makes a difference if you press the Commodore key, sometimes it makes a difference if you leave it alone and let it do its own thing. Very finicky with the Commodore 64s. And as you can see, we've got a load screen there, there's no music. I wish there was music on all loading screen games. I mean, stuff like Commodore, with them also tracks there from Rob Hubbard, the legend of the Commodore 64 music programmer. But this one doesn't have anything at all. It loads through this first section here, and then it gives us a little intro to the game and tells us what's going on and why we're actually playing this game and what the end objective is. So we're almost there now, look, loading, done. So this is just the intro, it's going to kick in and play the tape a little bit longer. So we've got help. Mum is kidnapped by a monster. I think this bit's funny when it comes up because they haven't spelt it properly, but you'll see. Mum is taken to atop the Mabot's tower. Not taken to the top. Enter the tower to rescue your mom. We'll go back into another load section which doesn't take too long. So just for the video, I'm just going to skip it a little bit, so you don't have to wait through. It's about 30 on the tape counter to go. It takes a little while, saves you listening to me waffling along. So we're at 60 on the tape counter, it gets to 64 and then the game's loaded. And at that point there, once it's loaded, I'm going to hit the reset on the counter, because if we fail on the game and we've got to future levels, it will ask you to come back and rewind it back to the beginning of side B, which we don't have a B because we've recorded them both on the same side. So there's Rodland that's loaded up, look. Select up, and so I'm going to press fire now, and what that's going to do then is ask me to insert side B, but we don't need to insert side B. Just leave the tape deck, just press the reset button, leave the play button down and hit your fire button. So we'll hit the fire button. As you can see there, rewind tape, loading slide block B, and block A, and block 1, sorry, which is supposed to be on the side B, but we've got it all on one side. So that's this basically loading in the next level. And there you go, that's the game that's loaded up. Looks quite a fun game, looks a little bit like Donkey Kong. What is coming? We've killed them all! And that finishes your level. So what the aim of the game is that you've got to run around and pick up all these flowers because it all gives you points. Ah! That one got me a bit too close. They've all grouped up. So you can just go up there, look, and collect them flowers. If you want to push up and press fire, you can build yourself a ladder. So you collect all the flowers. We'll wait all these duties come over this way, and then we'll fall down. Whee! Put a ladder up. Extra game means we've got to kill him. Come on. So there you go. That's Rodland created onto tape. So if you do want to restore your tapes, the originals, or even if you've got one off the internet and you want that nostalgia feel, to record it onto a tape so you can play it via tape. I mean, a lot of tapes, oops, let's stop that music. If you want to have the nostalgia feel of tapes, you don't need tapes with the Ultimate cartridge, obviously. You can just load them straight up through the Ultimate. But if you do want to restore your tapes, this is a way that you can do it. If you want to build yourself a compilation of tapes, you can do that. If you want to build the compilation to save your originals that are not loading anymore, you can do that. You can also create tapes. So instead of going through the way where you write to tape, you can set it up the other way, so you can actually record the tape into the Ultimate and create yourself a tap file, so you can re-record that over your originals and bring them back if you've got multiple copies, etc. and stuff. So that is how you create tapes using the Ultimate 64. So there you go. Now you know how to use Ultimate cartridge for creating tapes. I hope you've enjoyed this video. We've got lots and lots coming up. I've got an Atari ST that I've got to get repaired. We've got an SX64 that I need to restore. If you're in Facebook, you'll have seen pictures going up on that. That has parts missing. I believe that Rob Taylor, that makes the 60s clone boards, is now in the process of making the SX boards as well. I believe that he's not going to be putting them up for sale, but he's going to be allowing us to have the Gerber files for free, so we can send that to his partners at PCB Way and get them boards created. The SX that I've got, well, the two SXs that I've got now, they're both NTSC systems. One of them I really want to keep it as an original as I possibly can. The other one I want to convert to PAL. I have bought an NTSC CPU board in the process, should I say in the meantime, so I can get that installed there and revamp the 64 SX64 and make it good. Once Rob releases the board for the CPU board, I'm going to have that made by PCB Way and install that. I'm going to remove the old CRT because it's NTSC, and I'm going to put an LCD screen in there. And Adam Kane is going to update the power supply for us, so it's on UK power supply, so I'm not having to use an inverter. I'm pretty good with electrics, power supplies. I don't really like playing with them too much. I'm a little bit worried that if you get something wrong, you're going to blow a lot of other things, and I really don't want to do that. So in time maybe I will do. I have built other power supplies for the 64 and things like that, but the SX is a bit special and I really don't want to mess anything up in there. So if you've been enjoying the programs that I've been putting on for you in the episodes, please hit the like and the bell and subscribe to the channel for all upcoming videos. And yeah, so that's it for this week. So we'll see you on the next episode. Bye!